whenever you're ready.
All right,
You're
let's
good.
do this. Here we go.
Thanks, Ryan.
Have you had a chance to check out Voice America's online magazine and blog? If you love our hosts and shows, check out articles that give an even deeper perspective, plus topics about health and fitness, movie reviews, philosophy, business tips and tactics, spirituality, positive thought, current events, and even more about your favorite host. It's just a click away at blog.voiceamerica.com. That's blog.voiceamerica.com. The Voice America Press Blog. All access, all the time.
All right, here we go.
Welcome to an enlightened hour of interactive talk.
Ready for this?
This is Guided Spirit Conversations with host Marla Goldberg. In this program, we spotlight guests from all over the globe who have helped others change their
What's the
lives.
name?
And
Miss
we'll provide
Whispers?
you with the tips, tools, and techniques that you need to help make a difference in your own life. Now, here is Marla Goldberg.
Hello, everyone. How are you? I hope you're all having a happy Thursday. I'm so thrilled to have Missy Hart back with us today. She is an intuitive medium, speaker, spiritual teacher, and is writing this book called Whispers from Heaven, which I just love the name. So welcome, Missy.
Hi, Marla. Thank you so much for having me again.
Oh, I always love having you on. We have such great conversations. So since you've been on the last time, share with me. Well, yeah, I know we were talking about Mercury retrograde. Does that affect you with your clients, the information you get?
Let's hope not. I don't think that I've had anything like too crazy happen. I have an event tomorrow, so now you got me thinking like, please don't have anything weird happen. Energies, I can tell you that during like moon cycles and probably retrogrades and stuff like that, where energies can definitely be increased. And so when you're a medium and you're doing this kind of work, energy is very palpable. So sometimes like you feel a bit woozy or like you've had a couple of drinks or something. And that for the last like week, I think I've noticed.
Yeah, because for people who are not aware of what Mercury retrograde is, the planet Mercury has an illusion of going in reverse. And so there's a 2-week buildup to the retrograde. There's 3 weeks of retrograde. And then there's a 2-week post-retrograde shadow that happens. And it tends to mess with your communication, technology, and I'm missing one other area. Do you know the third area?
Oh, I can't think. So
But
communication, technology. I know a lot of people who are just kind of emotional and feel like unbalanced, you know, so I doubt that's the third one, but I mean, definitely from an observer standpoint, a lot of people tend to notice those things.
Yeah. So if you're having technology problems, I can't even see communication, problems communicating, this is a perfect example. Technology, if your computers go down or get wonky or your phone, just be patient because you're just going to have to ride it out. And here's the thing, in my opinion, from my experience, we have 3 of these a year, but one of them will really bam you. You'll really feel the effects. And the other ones will be like, I didn't know Mercury was in retrograde because nothing has changed.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
And
I don't put a lot, like there's a lot of fear porn put out there about Mercury and retrograde. And I honestly like looking at that stuff. I don't appreciate that at all because there's definitely positive aspects to the retrogrades there are. And I think like with anything, it's going inside and paying attention to how it is affecting you. And if there are emotional roots to it, then, you know, fixing those things.
Well, one of the positive things is it does give you, it makes you sort of reset and make sure you've gone over everything. What did they say? I heard this great thing and it's like, check it twice, cut it once, or measure it twice, cut it once, because you just have to be a little bit more on the ball. And instead of just checking it once or twice, you might need to check it a third time from, you know, go away from whatever you're working on, come back and check it on for a third time.
Yep.
So, and I just remember the third one, contracts and deals. And sometimes those tend to fall through or they're wonky. But again, if you cover your tracks with anything, not trying to put any fear out there, but if you cover your tracks by going over your contract and make it with a fine tooth comb and making sure everything is in there, then you shouldn't have a problem. But
Right.
getting back to Missy, but it was just curious if like the spirits sort of like go off on some weird tangent because the energies
No,
are.
it did the energetic shift anytime. It took me a long time, I think, to find the, I guess, commonality that in fact, when there are planetary things happening, it does indeed just affect you as a person. And then it affects, of course, like my work and that kind of stuff. So certainly, but this time around, it just seems to be everything's kind of enhanced.
Yeah, it truly, truly is. So, what are you working on now? I know I mentioned your new
Oh
book coming
gosh.
up. What else is going on with you?
So I am working on a book, and quite honestly, I've been tossing around the idea of doing a podcast. I also have been booking like more events, coming up with. I just was on this really weird hiatus where I've been reading a whole lot of people for a very long time, and I just hit a wall, honestly, physically and mentally. And right now, I'm feeling great, but I cut my schedule down a ton. And um, it's really allowing me all of this time to work on, like, I'm actually creating a product line right now. And then I dove into this book, and then yeah, so things are falling into alignment for me right now. So it's like me hitting that wall, and it was really uncomfortable, just so you know. It was like a horrible, energies have just been building, I think. Like everything just seems to be so high. So I don't know. It just took this toll, but now that I have switched my schedule up, I have all of this time on my hand for new things to be born,
But
and I'm
don't you
loving it.
think when you're able to pull back like that, it opens you up to be able to generate new ideas, new concepts, and have you reevaluate where you are and, make you think, okay, this is where I am. Is this enough? Do I want something else? And it sounds like
Yeah,
that's happened for you, which is
yeah,
so
absolutely.
exciting.
It really is exciting because it's kind of shifted gears. These are always things that I've thought about doing. And then, I'm a mom, I have kids at home and a husband and a house to take care of, and I own my own business. And so seeing as many people as I was seeing, I had no time left. And honestly, I had no energy at the end of those sessions with people or events that I was doing to like spend on those things. So yeah, this is, I'm just going to call it divine intervention and divine timing
Well,
helping me out.
everything is divine and it made you realize. But here's the thing, at least you were aware enough to realize like, okay, I need to pull back a little bit and do some self-care.
They honestly, Marla, they had to smack me in the head pretty good to get my attention. So
Which
something
they will
that, and
do.
yeah, and they did, like, something with in other mediums I know experience it, and probably anybody who works in an energetic field, but I call it down for regularly scheduled maintenance. So like just maybe once a year where they basically shut you down, and I just feel like I can't connect, and I will cancel clients at that point and whatever. And so I kept on going through that like over and over and over again instead of just the once. And then when it hit me, it was really uncomfortable. I mean, they really smacked me into some like hardcore reality. Like, you cannot keep on doing this to yourself.
Did
And
they
so
make you get ill? Did you catch a cold or a flu or something like
I,
that?
I actually did not feel sick, but I felt terrible. And the easiest way to describe it was the most uncomfortable I've ever felt in my physical body. I think just, I felt like a muggle. I'm going to throw out a Harry Potter term. I felt like a muggle. I could not connect. I could not like access my peeps. My readings felt stretched, and my dog is barking. Sorry.
That's okay. He wants to communicate.
Yes, with someone walking their dog.
Okay. Well, he's doing his job, right?
Yeah.
He's letting you know someone's out there. That's how I look at it. You know, when my big tug starts barking, you can hear him, you can hear him forever. But I just figure he's doing his job. So I let him bark for a while before I try to calm him down. So,
My dog only barks at other dogs. So there is another dog out there.
okay. He wants friends. He wants to play. So when you work, and I don't know if I've asked you this before, I might have, do you see, hear, or hear the spirits talking to you, guiding you?
No, and it really is funny because other mediums do actually see dead people and I don't. And I always like, it's actually a joke. It's like my team knows that I'm a big chicken. And so I think in a way that was always done intentionally to not scare me. And then as far as hearing them, I do hear them very crystal clear, but mediumship is not what people think at all. It's not they don't have a physical body, so they don't have vocal cords,
Right.
that is needed to push out sounds. And so everything turns into this sensory kind of a communication where I think, feel, hear, see, but the hearing is always in my own voice and my own head, just like I had a thought. And
Mhm.
so it's a very interesting conversation, just very different.
I understand. Well, everybody does it differently. So I think, what was it? I went to this conference and one person actually like took on the physical features of the spirits that are coming through.
I
Yeah.
have done that.
The other one, just sees them, just as they are and talks to them. And the other one just gets messages like you're sharing.
Right. So
And
I'm more of I would be called like a mental medium. I think the where you take on the physical attributes, I've played with that quite a bit. That's called blending. And my first experience, this is nuts. It was so much fun though. So blending is when you're inviting the spirit to either like sit in your lap and enter into you, or you're taking a dive into them specifically. And so I was in this, I was with a bunch of people, so I knew I was safe, but I dove right into this old woman who I have to tell you was really not nice.
oh,
Okay. She was an older lady. And so we dive in, and all of a sudden, now, like taking on the features, you take on everything. So I knew that, like, I'm sitting down in what feels like a church pew and I'm straightening out my dress. Everything has to be perfect. So I'm straightening out my dress, and I could literally see her clothing, like the color of it, like superimposed on my body. And I'm straightening my dress out, and I'm looking around the church, judging everybody that was there. And I was thinking not nice things. And she was an old woman from England. Um, and so she was calling the women who she felt were dressed appropriately floozies. And she was so just not nice. It was one of the craziest experiences blending I've ever had.
So when you unblended, when you separated, how did you feel? Were you exhausted? Because it reminds me of the movie Ghost, when Whoopi Goldberg jumps
Right,
into,
right.
or Patrick Swayze jumps into Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah, I probably was tired. I was weird. It's not a practice that I use often, even though like I know how to do it. It's kind of like, yeah, you can just stay over there. I'm good with me, so I
It's
don't do
some,
it often.
it's almost like too much information. Thank you very much. Because
It
you
was so
do.
weird. It was so weird. Like I could hear how she would think. And like I said, she wasn't nice. So,
And it's interesting that she wanted to pop in, to have you blend with her, because you both had to agree to that,
well, it
spirit
was,
wise,
there was a group of us doing this together as like
an experiment.
in an exercise, right? And
Okay.
so it was just the grandmother of somebody that was in this group,
And were
you
they
know.
laughing? Did
Oh
they?
yeah. Yeah. I mean, he was able to validate everything down to, like I said, I could see the sweater that she was wearing, and like the aches and pains in her body. She kept on bringing me down to her feet, and she actually had some type of an arthritis or something that really was painful. She had a hard time walking. And she, of course, had like good aspects to her, but she was very hardcore and very judgmental and very hoity. That's who
Huh.
she was.
Oh, I like that, hoity. So did he, I mean, he laughed and he confirmed it, but
Oh
was he
yeah, he was
also,
sitting with me the whole time because I was giving him the information.
but was he like in shock? Did he start crying or is he just laughing or?
I think he laughed through most of it. I think he laughed through most of it because it was just so like, oh my gosh. And if readings are always emotional, they're always emotional. And he was actually one of her favorite people. And so like he didn't get the attitude like most people got, or like a lot of other people got. That was her favorite. And that was abundantly clear in our session together.
And what she shared with him?
Yeah. Yeah, well, basically that you were my favorite.
Well, I guess there's no pussyfooting around that one, is
No,
there?
no, and it was a well-known fact, and that was it. And so yeah, it was really funny.
I would have loved to have seen that. That sounds so fascinating. And so how does it, what you do differentiate from an evidentiary psychic or medium?
Well, I am an
Evidential.
evidential medium.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so an evidential medium, we are just mediums who gather evidence that I am talking to your loved one. So it's just little bits and pieces of information that you can validate that this belongs to your person. And then I always bring forward evidence that they're still around. That turns into be the most important evidence and definitely some of the most fun.
Well, because they were sitting there telling them what they saw the person do or say, that kind of
Oh yeah,
evidence.
your dead people are with you seriously a lot. And so here, I'll share this story because it's just so much fun.
Wait, you know what? Hang on to this story for 1
Okay.
second because we're going to go on break. When we come back, I want to have the story
Okay.
go, and we'll share it with everybody. So hang on, and we'll be right back.
Okay, great job. All clear. Back in a
Hey,
couple
Matt.
minutes. Hi.
Thank you. I hope you're okay with the direction I'm going. And is there anything special you want me to bring up,
No.
talk about?
Girl, we can just talk. We're good.
Perfect. Okay. I just find, some things that I'm curious about. And I assume if I'm curious about things, other people are curious about things.
Oh yeah, I get asked like all sorts of questions all the time. And I love it.
I have to say, I saw my first spirit in the fall of 2018. I don't know if I've ever told you this story or not.
I don't think so.
And so I was having lunch with my husband, and there were these people setting up for an event in the back of this. It's in this old place called not Sassy Bees. It's TG's, and it's been there since I think the 40s. And I think it's the same old bar. It's just this amazing place, and so the waitress started telling us, well, when you're done with lunch, if you want to go in the back, there's a fundraiser, and explained that a girl was murdered like a few blocks down in a park, and that her father does a fundraiser for her in her honor every year. And all of a sudden I saw this energy jumping up and down like a little girl excited, but it wasn't a little girl. And she was telling me how happy she was and excited that this was for her. She first started out going, it's for me, it's for me, it's for me. And, and jumping like so excited. And then she started saying, you need to tell them how happy I am. And Gary and I went into the back, and we were buying raffles and contributing. And she kept tapping me on the shoulder saying, tell her, because we were talking to one of the volunteers. And she's like, tell her how happy I am that they're doing this. And I didn't do it right away. And she tapped me harder. And she's like, tell her. And she tapped me harder. And finally, in the middle of the conversation, I segued in. She is so excited and happy that you're doing this, in her name. And that was all she needed. She went away.
Right.
And my husband's face dropped. He looked so mortified. And, he was fine. We kept the conversation up. And then as he was leaving, he looks at me, he goes, Marla, they don't know what you do. They must think you're crazy.
Hey, she clearly was not going to leave you alone until you just gave that information. So,
Exactly. And then I ran into her father the next May, and and it was just, that was an amazing. But I told him, I said, okay, so let me tell you, your daughter came to me, and I explained the situation, and he was just like, oh my God. He walked away with tears in his eyes of gratitude. I don't think it was sadness, but of gratitude that, wow, she's here.
right.
So
It's so healing for people.
it truly is. I recently went to a gallery. I didn't realize I was going to a gallery reading. So my husband was traveling, and I had a free weekend day, and something was happening in a nearby facility venue. And it was this guy. And I said, oh, okay, I'll go because I have the time, and I have nothing planned, and why don't I do something for me? Well, what was very cool is that this guy, I came in, I sat down, he was in the middle of somebody else, and then he came right to me. And there was a friend of mine from high school, who was killed in a car accident when he was 15. He came to me, and it was the first time in all these years, but I had always wondered things. So
Right.
he showed up. Yeah. And
Nice.
then Gary's mother showed up, and she hadn't shown up before. It was like, oh my God.
All right, sorry to interrupt, but we are coming back.
Thanks, Matt.
You are listening to Guided Spirit Conversations. To reach Marla Goldberg or her guest today, you're invited to call in to the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is guidedspiritconversations@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for sticking around. If you just joined the show, Missy Hart is my guest, and Missy is an intuitive medium, speaker, spiritual teacher. She's in the process of writing her first book and developing products. I'm so excited and thrilled to have her back. So welcome back, Missy.
Thank you. Thank you.
My pleasure. So when we were going on break, you were going to talk about a story.
Yes. So we were talking about how our dead people stay with us like a lot of the time, and they're around, and the stories that they share with me to basically tell on you sometimes. Like I've had people who took a spill out in their driveway, and they thought that they were alone, but their dead dead person is showing me like she fell in the parking lot or whatever, and so this particular one is probably one of my favorites. I had a lady to see me, and her father had passed away, and her mom was still living, but the mom had actually moved in with her. Mom has really bad diabetes. And so we were talking about the mom, and he was, telling me she's really stubborn and all that stuff. And so the daughter was not able to keep her mother's blood sugar under control forever. She's like, I don't know what we're doing. Like, she's eating right. I'm checking it all the time. We cannot regulate it. And so Dad shows me candy wrappers, and he shows them to me stuffed in between the cushions of a couch. And so, of course, like, she goes home, and I get the phone call that she literally found hundreds of like Tootsie Roll wrappers and, all this stuff stuffed in the cracks of the couch. Like, this lady is like 5 years old. I mean, it was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
That's a riot. I just love when they share that kind of information. A, it shows that they're there.
Yes.
And B, it shows that they still have concerns for their loved ones and they want to protect them.
Oh, of course. Always. They're always concerned about people. Anytime that I'm in a session, if there's something going on, like currently, or things that have just recently happened or things that are coming up, they always talk about that. I mean, like, this one just happened recently. They kept on showing me eyes, so I was like, and I never understand the context in which something is coming my way. And so I didn't know if the eye thing had to do with the dead person or, whatever, but it wound up that the lady who was seeing me was actually scheduled for an eye surgery like next week. And so, it was his way of letting her know, like, hey, we're going to be there for you. It's okay. And so, really great.
That's a great story too. I just love the stories that you can share about what you receive, how it helps people. Is there a story that has like so that somebody has been frightened or worried about something and somebody came in, or they found out that they were diagnosed with something and somebody came in and helped them through their process or
All
let them know?
the time. You will never go through like, so are your dead people with you 24/7? I would say probably not. I do think that they have lives and work, and I do think that a lot of their work like involves their family members. So I do think that they stay busy in a way with stuff with you, but any major occasion, so surgeries, um, births, um, I mean, anything, weddings, graduations, it doesn't matter, good or bad. They don't miss one of those, not one. And they're very good at like telling people, like, I'm handling things from here that I'm able to handle. And so our dead people do actually get to help us through things. Not everything, they can't do everything for us, but they definitely help to line us up with the right people or send us to the right places, that kind of stuff. And so, especially with like medical issues or something, I will actually often hear like um, something about like traveling for treatment somewhere. Like, have you traveled farther away for treatment? And they'll be like, oh my gosh, we've been looking into that and, stuff like that. And so, basically, the dead person's like, yeah, that might be a really great idea. Like, go travel for this. You might find someone who can help you better. Or so I do believe that they line those things up.
I agree with you on that. So what about if let's say they're busy doing something else and you call them? Do they answer right away? Do they have the ability to answer right away, or do they sort of say, yeah, you have to handle this on your own. I'll be by later, kind of a silent
I
message?
I think that they would always receive the message. What they're able to do and what they're allowed to do, I think, is probably the kicker there. That's probably the wrench. Like, they would probably love to do everything for you, and unfortunately so there are rules. And so like, you have free will, and so it's like they can send you somebody. They can't make you do whatever you need to do with that someone, or they can't make you like that person. They can't make you use that person's services, or whatever. So I do kind of think that they're able to occupy more than one space at a time. So I don't think that they're limited in the way that we are. Like, if I'm going to go visit my mom down the road, then I can't be with my sister in the next town over
Right.
at the same time.
You
So,
can't ride two donkeys with one ass, right?
right,
So
exactly. Oh, I feel like I got to write that down. I've never heard that. That's funny. Yeah, no. So they cannot ride two donkeys with one ass. Not ever. But I
in
do
human
think that, like,
form.
yes, not in human form. I do think that they can, divide themselves up very equally.
Because we do run parallel lives. I mean, our soul is able to run a distinctly different life on the other side, in
Sure.
some other reality than this one.
Yep.
And yeah, the spirit is able to, it's so miraculous and what they're able to do.
All of it. I'm shocked every single day. I mean, I find the other side to be amazing always. Like, everything that they do is so funny. My own, like, I do my little Facebook show every Sunday. And last week we were talking about divinity and where, divinity, things lining up for us and that kind of stuff, where it is not a great feeling all of the time. It's actually can be very messy and very tumultuous and very just crappy, but it, pushes us in these directions that are just incredible.
But
So it's like we are led we really are led and pushed
Well,
into things.
how do you feel about them when you're saying that it's messy, it feels icky, at times, not all the time, but I have a belief system that sometimes things have to break down so you're able to rebuild them. And
Right.
sometimes they are the ones who are helping you break things down so that you can rebuild your situation, whatever it might be, professional, personal.
It's so true. Like, so just to give a really, I'm not going to go too in depth, but I lost my son in 2004. And so the way that all of that played out, things didn't wind up working out with me and the father. Now that he who wound up in jail, actually, like fast forward a few years after that, wound up in jail for almost killing somebody.
Wow.
But anyway, I went through this, and he was not around me for the pregnancy. He wanted me to have an abortion. I could not go through with an abortion. And I told him, I, will raise this baby on my own. I don't need your help. And he walked away from me, never talked to me again. So here I am, about to be a single mother of now 2 children, because I'm already divorced and a single mother of 1. And I was, essentially knocked up. That's how I felt. I was knocked up. I had no plan. Was freaking out the whole time about having the baby on my own. And so it's like I made it all the way to that for God to take them from me anyway. And I was actually pretty upset. It was a horrible loss, but I was angry, I feel like, at God for taking my baby away from me. Like, how could I felt like punishment? It did. And that's grief and normal. Months and months and months later, I met my husband, who I'm married to now. And I now have 2 more sons. And so, like, when you look back at that moment, and I can see the divinity in that moment, because not only has it helped me with my work, I'm a really good medium, because I understand people's grief. So I'm a really good healer in that aspect, because I really do understand how people are feeling. And so that loss has actually only aided me in the ways that I'm able to help other people. And then, like I said, here I meet my husband and I have 2 more children. Well, the day that I met Mike, I met him at my work, and it was a Tuesday night, and Tuesday nights were supposed to be gone. When the baby came, I was moving strictly to a daytime schedule, no more evenings. And that was all in place. Well, when he died and I went back to work, I kept my old schedule. So, I met Mike on a Tuesday night at my work, a night that I would never have been there had the baby not passed away. So, like, truly,
Yeah.
divinity is like, these were things put in my place and lined up for me. I'm sure. I'm sure.
Is there a way you could guide the listeners to maybe look back at some of their situations and see if they haven't been given the same guidance that, situations that are stepping stones to growth and learning?
Absolutely, because it is always in the hindsight moments. And really, you can choose to stay down in the terrible parts of life. It is a choice. It is a choice to look for the good things that have come out of bad situations. And like, sometimes, man, you got to dig deep and you got to really look. And like, I have a body of work, I call it feel good on purpose. Like, you are forcing yourself some days to feel good,
Mhm.
and so my suggestion is to start in just awareness. Like, be aware, right? Go take yourself back in time. What is one of the most awful things that you've gone through, and what's happened in the time after that? Are you in a better place? Are you with better people? Are you in a better job? I just did this on my show. Some lady was like, I got fired from a job. Well, I've been fired once and I was a wreck. I was a train wreck. I cried and cried. I felt terrible.
Rejected. Yeah.
Yes, it was an awful feeling to get fired. But now she's got a great job and she loves it. And so, just a really bad situation turned really great. Relationship endings. Well, you know, getting out of a relationship is not the most comfortable thing in the world, but
No. Even if you
like,
want to.
right. Yes, it's hard.
Yeah.
And so, maybe someone else has entered into your life and you can look at that and go, man, that was really terrible. But if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And I feel like that's the mindset. If that didn't happen, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. If I were to rewind everything and not lose my son, my life as it exists today would not be here.
It would be a different life.
Completely different. And I can't, for the life of me, imagine my life any different. I can't,
I understand.
so.
And I can resonate with what you're saying because that's my book, right? So it's me looking back at my journey and seeing, that all these things are before me, but now I can use them because I can understand my clients so much more,
Right.
where they're at, their places. I can be more empathetic about it because
Right.
I've been there.
Yes.
And yes, it was the hard way, but here I
But
am.
you know what? It is our experiences that turn out to be the most useful for everybody else. Like, you get to teach and heal and work with people based in your experience. It is just your greatest teacher and then your greatest giver at the very same time. So I'm not one to sit around and, well, here, I will say this. I was just going to say, I'm not one to sit around and wallow. I will have a pity party. If I'm going through something and I'm not feeling the greatest about something, I'm not going to pretend that I'm okay. I'm going to allow myself the time to have a pity party. I might bake a cake for myself so I can just indulge. I'm going to shed some tears. I'm going to allow myself to go through all of that stuff. And then I'm going to make sure that I'm balancing it out by looking at something good. So it's like, I never want to deny someone the emotional part. And I think, a lot of people get like where, oh, I'm not supposed to feel that way. That's a negative. And it's like, you really are meant to feel something. I don't want people to get stuck in that
Right.
nasty negative feeling. Don't get stuck there. But it's okay to feel like crap from time to time. It is. Embrace that too. Like
It's true. And no,
yeah,
I'm
it's
just agreeing with
healing.
you. Yeah. Because I know that I used to I feel like I would jump out of my skin when I would go through those things. I wouldn't give myself the time or space to deal with it or handle it.
Right.
So it didn't serve me well in the moment. But what it did do is down the road allow me to see the additional lessons that I needed to learn. And you're going to
Right.
keep learning those lessons over and over and over again until you learn them. If you keep ignoring them or not feeling what you need to feel or what the emotions are coming up for you to feel, I shouldn't need all over people, but it just will then allow them to realize that there's growth. There's I don't know if you've heard of Bashar, but Bashar is
Yeah.
have you? I
Oh
love
yeah.
Bashar.
And yeah, me and my mom got into Bashar pretty heavy. He's just so cute and funny. Like,
Adorable. And but this one thing in one of his books said a relationship is a relationship till it's not a relationship anymore. And that became my mantra, not because of just romantic relationships, but all relationships. So you
right.
know that they're here for a reason, season, or lifetime. It's just a different way of saying that.
Right.
And there's lessons to learn with all the experiences. But I'll tell you what, we're going to talk more when we come back. We've got a break to take. So see you on the other side.
And we're all clear. Great job. Back in a couple minutes.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, I really like that last segment. I love the
Yeah.
information.
I love that stuff. That will be I don't know how to do, like, so the medium parts to me, that's not that work, but I've got a lot of work, like all of the other stuff. And so I'm actually looking at writing the mediumship book is the mediumship book. And that is just, hopefully will be just one of those timeless kind of books that will help people through their stuff, But I'm actually looking at maybe writing a series of books geared more towards the self-help arena.
I think it's wonderful. And I love the fact that you're so organic and you're so raw. I don't know if you're writing the same way as you
Yes.
project
Yeah,
out.
I am. Yeah. However I talk is how I write. And I'm just, that is what Shanda did say. So I just did a thing with, Shanda had that like 5-day book challenge. And so I did that. She did give me incredible feedback, and she was like, Missy, you found your voice. Your intro was excellent. She said it's hard for people to find their voice. But, you know, everything that I'm writing about, I've been doing this work for so long. And I think that if I would have done this any point before where I'm at right now, it probably wouldn't have been so good. But I have a lot of experience, and it's just like one of those, like, when do you step into that master of your craft? I don't even know when it happened, but it has. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I don't know when it happened, but it did happen. And so like I just know what I'm talking about, and it's information I've been giving for so long anyway that it's
But this is to
easier.
reach people that aren't in, that aren't in your area, or who aren't, found, who have not found you yet on your
Right.
Facebook. But
Well,
they
and
will.
oh sure, I don't do anything to advertise myself, Marla. I never have. You know, she's like, do you have a lead magnet on your website? I'm like, no. Like,
What's a
I'm
lead magnet?
yes, I've not done any of these things. And I mean, I maintain very busy, and I feel like for just an organic little following, I have a nice organic little following, you know.
Yes.
All right. Sorry to interrupt, but we're just about to come back.
Perfect. Thanks. We're going to
Awesome.
do the charity next, and then we'll get
Oh.
back into conversation.
Okay, got it. I'm looking it up.
You are listening to Guided Spirit Conversations. To reach Marla Goldberg or her guest today, you're invited to call in to the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is guidedspiritconversations@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. And if you're just joining us, today's guest is Missy Hart. And Missy is an intuitive medium, speaker, spiritual teacher. She's working on a lot of projects. That's what we were just talking about before the break, and what she's trying to do so that she can help those of you who are out there who need the guidance. So welcome, Missy. Come on back in. And
Hello,
before we start
hello.
our conversation, we are going to do what I call charity shout out time. And Missy's charity is Best Buddies. So let's talk about Best Buddies. And
Yes, I do this one every time. My son has autism, and he is 12 years old. And so Best Buddies is actually an organization that helps people with special needs or disabilities find a place in community. So they help them find jobs and places to kind of fit into life. And they are just an incredible organization across the board. So I'm going to just read this little blurb because I don't want to mess it up. But it says that it is an organization dedicated to ending the social, physical, and economic isolation of the 200 million people
wow,
with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So you guys can donate at www.bestbuddies.org.
thank you. So it sounds like I can't believe 200 million, it said.
The autism rates, girl, are at 1 in 50, and certain areas. So 1 in every 50 babies born right now, we have an autistic child born. And Best Buddies covers more than just autism, but in other states like New Jersey's autism rates is 1 in 32.
Wow, that's so
Yeah.
high.
It's an epidemic.
Is it an epidemic? Is it something that happens outside the womb? Or is it something that develops inside the womb as they're developing? Does anybody
Oh.
have an idea?
It is a very controversial topic. So, you know, some people say it is linked to vaccinations that can tick a lot of people off. I personally know people who've been vaccine damaged. And so I tend to agree with that. I'm not anti-vaccine at all. I'm just actually pro safe ones and maybe spreading them out some, like people, I think like when I was a kid, we had like 8 or 10 vaccinations. And now like, if I were to go with the schedule that they recommend, my child would have 76.
Oh my God, I did not even realize that.
Right. So it is a very controversial topic. They don't know where it's at, where it comes from. It is, I know, well, they do also try to say that it was just never reported. So it's always been this bad. And I mean, I got to call BS on that too, because I've walked through life, there's just something going on. Absolutely.
Well, and I'm agreeing with you because I know growing up, not that I was, but I grew up in the city of Chicago, and I don't think I knew anybody with autism.
No,
I
I
think
mean,
one
it's
cousin had it, but I mean, nobody in school, nobody's brothers or sisters. It
right.
wasn't prevalent like it is today.
Right. And I live in a very small community and we have, quite a few. So it's, yes, something is going on. Something is definitely going on. And unfortunately, I mean, autism is a neurological disease. And so their brains are, I hate to say it, but their brains are messed up, and it's a long haul. There's no cure. My son will never be able to leave home. I mean, that is something that my husband and I are preparing for, because he's just, I mean, he's not going to be able to drive. He's not going to be able to, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
So with your abilities, are you able to get additional information from him that you might not get if you didn't have your abilities?
That's a riot. Actually, he is so psychic. Max is so incredibly psychic, and he doesn't even know it, of course, but that kid is so tapped in to what's going on, down to like, I just picked him up from school last week, and I love these. They're called lentil chips. I don't know if you've ever had lentil chips. It's like a
No.
potato chip made out of lentils. Anyway,
Okay.
I love them. And so I had eaten lentil chips as a snack before I went and picked him up. And so I pick him up from school. He gets in my car and he starts saying, "You know what I'm thinking about, Mom?" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Lentil chips." I was like, but he does that all the time. I'm not kidding you. It's like, man. So as far as the spiritual stuff, I mean, I've been able to help him. He has a lot of anxiety and that kind of stuff. So I've really tried to teach him a lot about prayer, and angels and those types of things, just to have his moments, like, so he can feel safe, I think. And
So let's talk about prayers in general
oh
and
yeah,
angels and how they can really help to shift a situation or comfort or come into help in any
yeah.
capacity.
The most important thing to know is that you have to ask for help. And so this goes into like the rule of free will. We are here under free will. And so if you're not asking for help, make no mistake, they really are not allowed to help you. And so my motto: pray hard, pray often, and know that you are heard. If I could convey anything from the other side, is the tremendous love. I'm not kidding. It is nothing but love, nothing but understanding. And it's bigger than anything I could put to words. And that comes from the dead people. Just, I'm not kidding. Like, you are so supported. You are so loved. It doesn't matter what you're doing. We all suck at life sometime, like we
Mhm.
just do. And so there is really no judgment. They're just really there to help you. So number one, ask for help, pray, talk to God. I'm kind of like, I really have been going through this God phase here lately. I grew up very religious, Baptist church, Baptist school. And so there's a lot of this, people like, oh, we're connecting to source energy and stuff like that. And I've really kind of put my foot down for my own personal self. And I would never like say that anyone else has to do this, but let's call a spade and God is God, and I'm there, so I feel like we've lost our way as far as God is concerned. I think that has come over, well, a really lengthy time of religion getting kind of jaded and skewed and odd. But I do think it's time for people to find their way back. I don't believe God is what we've been told as far as like the judgmental, angry,
I would
um,
agree.
smite you down, like
Right.
he's not that person at all. And so I would invite people to do that. I pray all the time. And the way that I can see my prayers answered, or the way that I'm able to see God working in my life, is just incredible. Definitely he's opened doors. And what I love about it the most is like I did have a really rough summer, just things going on. And so some of the things that I was praying about actually came through in my work one day, where I had a family member struggling with drug addiction, actually. And they landed in a rehab facility. And so I'm praying, and it just hit really close to home. I was a wreck with all of this going on. And so I go to work one day, and two people walk into my office, like one right after the other. So my two appointments were both addicts. I don't think I've really ever read the addicts before. I've read the people who died as an addict. I mean, I've read hundreds of those. But yeah, two addicts walked through my door, and they had been recovering addicts. One was like 6 months recovering. The other was like over a year recovered, I guess I should say. And they were doing fantastic. And I knew that God sent them to me, to say, look, people, she can be okay. But not only that, I had a new understanding of addiction. I think it's nothing that I ever really touched so close to home. So that's what I mean. Like, I'm talking to God about something, and that was really heavy on my heart. And it was like God showing me, okay, I've opened doors here through this terrible time.
Yeah, I brought these people in so that you can see that people can recover and they can live a good, happy life together.
Right.
Happy
Right.
life in general. But first of all, I want to let you know that Kate Russell says, "I love you, Missy." So
Oh,
I wanted to share that
we love you
message
too,
with you.
K-Wise Russell.
And I just find that whether you say God or high self or Holy Spirit or Gaia or whatever term, that they are there. And I truly believe, like you, that they're benevolent and they're here
Yes.
to guide us with love. And sometimes you might get a smack in the head, but it's because you need to learn something. So you need to look at every situation, in my opinion, as to, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this? There's something in here I need to get out of
Right.
this situation, and how do I get out of it?
My new favorite quote is, if I hadn't made you uncomfortable, you never would have moved. That's why I was saying, like, divinity, like and that's what I mean by it's not pleasant all the time. Like, as we're going through these moments of being shaped or led into something better, it might be uncomfortable because it comes with ending, or it comes with just hardships. And so it's not pretty, but dang it, what's on the other side of that is just absolutely incredible. And it's those things that we need to be looking for all the time.
Perfect. Well, Missy, we're at the end of the show. It went by so fast.
It did.
Thank you so much for coming back. I so love our conversations. Thank you. And I want to thank Voice America and everybody who participates in helping to put this show together. And Teresa Scott Reed, my assistant, my right hand, my left hand, so grateful. And I'm grateful to you, the listeners, for tuning in and being a part of this show and taking time out of your life to do so, because you're all very important to me. And I hope that at the end of each and every show, that you're able to walk away with something that can help you in your life. So that's my goal and objective, and I want that for you. And till next week, I want to send you love. I want to send you blessings and gratitude. Look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.
All right, great job. Good show today. We're all clear.
Thank you, Matt.